Saint Pius V, Pope. Saint Pius, the fifth of his name, Pope of Rome, was born in 1504 at Bosca, a village in the Duchy of Milan, of very illustrious but, from misfortune, impoverished parents. He received at baptism the name of Michael, almost a prediction of the zeal he later in life evinced in the protection of the honor of God and his church against the heretics, the bitterest enemies of the true faith. Already in his earliest youth, he manifested an eager desire for study and for the religious life. God so ordained it that 2 Dominican friars came to Bosca, to whom he made known his wish. Although Michael was very young, the 2 friars perceived something remarkable in his character. They took him with them to their monastery, and after having diligently studied for some time, he was received into the holy order. After he had pronounced his vows, he studied the higher sciences and made such extraordinary progress that he was soon appointed to teach others. This he not only did with pleasure to himself, but with profit to those he taught. In like manner, he filled for several years the office of preacher and that of superior in several monasteries, as he had been assiduous in maintaining regular observance, both by precept and example. Meanwhile, the fame of his virtue and knowledge spread through the whole land. Hence he was appointed inquisitor in matters of faith, the duties of which office he discharged for a long time to the great benefit of the Church. Many cities and countries are indebted to his vigilance, either that they were cleansed from heresy or kept entirely free from it. He feared no menaces, no persecutions from the heretics, no danger of assassination, and showed himself always brave where the protection of the true faith was concerned. A great many heretical books which were circulated among the Catholics he gathered together and had publicly burned. In his sermons, he exhorted the Catholics to remain steadfast in their faith and admonished the heretics to conversion. He refuted their errors so thoroughly that nobody was able to contradict him. In recompense of so many useful exertions, Pius IV consecrated him bishop and soon after raised him to the dignity of cardinal. Michael resisted for a long time, but was at last obliged to obey, and he devoted himself entirely to the labors of his high calling. He visited his whole diocese, preached wherever he went, reformed abuses, made many wise regulations, and endeavored to preside as a faithful shepherd over his flock. After the death of Pope Pius IV, Michael was elected, by special inspiration of God, as his successor. He, however, was so dismayed by the choice that he burst into tears, but recognizing the will of God, he submitted and took the name of Pius V. He commenced his reign by works of charity towards the poor and by regulating his own household, that it might serve as a model of retirement and piety, not only to the cardinals and bishops, but also to the whole people of Christendom. We cannot attempt to detail all that St. Pius accomplished while he occupied the chair of St. Peter for the welfare of the true Church, for the protection of the true religion, and for the uprooting of heresy, as well as for the improvement of morals in the whole Christian world. The Roman Breviary says a great deal in very few words. According to it, St. Pius displayed a particular zeal in spreading abroad the true faith, an untiring diligence in restoring perfectly the discipline of the Church, an uninterrupted watchfulness in exterminating errors in matters of faith, a readiness to assist the indigent, and an invincible fortitude in maintaining the prerogatives of the apostolic chair. He not only sent envoys to all Christian courts, but also many apostolic men to all the countries of the Christian world to protect the true faith against the heresies which at that time prevailed. France, the Netherlands, and Germany are therefore under great obligations to him. He showed himself very gracious towards the Society of Jesus, which had been founded shortly before his reign by St. Ignatius to protect the true faith and to defeat heresy. When the Emperor of the Turks menaced the destruction of the whole of Christendom with his immense military power, Pius V assembled his whole force against him, emptied the entire treasury of the Church, and exhorted all the Christian princes to follow his example. That God might bless the arms of the Christian host, he ordered public prayers and pilgrimages in Rome, which he personally accompanied. He ordered public prayers at the Holy House of Loreto and in the entire Christian world. Besides this, he offered many penances to God for the same end. The result of all their pious exertions was a most glorious victory. the memory of which he desired should be annually celebrated under the name of Saint Mary of Victory, and on the festival of the Holy Rosary, as he was convinced that the victory was to be ascribed to the intercession of the Virgin Mother. At the same hour in which the arms of the Christians conquered, it was revealed to the Pope at Rome, whereupon he admonished all present to give thanks to God. It was his intention to take the field once more against the Turks, but he was prevented by a most painful sickness. Receiving it as a messenger of death, he prepared himself for his last hour by devoutly partaking of the Holy Sacrament and by fervent prayers. During the last 50 days of his life, he was in unmitigated pain and frequently cried, "Lord, increase the sufferings, but increase also the patience." He had the penitential psalms and the Passion of Christ read slowly to him and encouraged himself by comforting verses and prayers from Holy Writ until he ended his pious life in the year 1572, after having reigned over the Church of God 6 years and 3 months. There is hardly a virtue of which the life of this holy Pope gives not a glorious example. He daily said or heard Mass with fervent devotion, loved the crucified Saviour most ardently, saying all his prayers before his image, and at their close piously kissing his feet. One day, as according to his usual custom, he was about to kiss the feet of his crucifix. The image drew them back, by which means God saved his servant from death, as a wicked person had poisoned them. On Maunday Thursday, he washed the feet of 12 poor men, and once, seeing that one of them had a disgusting ulcer, he kissed it with heroic self-control. He prayed with such fervor and devotion that the Turks said that they feared more the prayers of Pope Pius than the conjoined arms of the Christian princes. He accompanied his prayers with great austerity to himself, from which he would not relax even during his sickness. Only on 3 days of the week did he taste meat, and then partook of so small a quantity that his whole life may be looked upon as a continual fast. But he was as kind to others as he was severe to himself, especially to the sick and the timid poor. He personally visited them, and with spiritual comfort brought them also temporal relief. The newly converted he received with a father's love, providing them also with temporal food, but he never manifested any undue preference toward his relatives. Upon one occasion, when he was told that he should provide his relatives better, with money and high offices, he answered, "God made me Pope not to take care of my own flesh and blood, but of his church." Any wrong done to him he always freely forgave, and treated his enemies, calumniators and persecutors with admirable gentleness. No word that could hurt anyone, or that betokened impatience, or that was in the least unsuitable to be uttered by a saint, ever passed his lips. He even bore any wrong done to him in silence. All the time that he did not devote to prayer, he gave unweariedly to the duties of his high station. To those who, under the pretext of sparing his health, advised him not to labor so unceasingly, he replied, "God has installed me in this office, not to indulge my own comfort, but to advance the well-being of those in my charge. The head of the church must attend more to his conscience than his body. An angelical purity he kept inviolable. Many were witnesses that in the hour of his departure from earth, his soul, accompanied by angels, rose towards heaven, there to partake for all eternity of the joys which the Almighty promises to his faithful servants.